Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over all of the latest national polls out of all the polling averages for all 50 states. Now before we get started with the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, make sure to hit the post bell notification, follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And let's get straight into this. And so pretty much guys, Donald Trump is in a pretty decent spot. His lead in the popular vote has shrinking a decent amount. However, he's still leading the national popular vote. And even if he's tied, that means he's probably going to win the electoral college as of right now. And so pretty much the fact we're getting, later into the election season, Biden is probably, going to catch up a tiny bit. However, Biden's biggest polling advantage he had was when he got up to 46.5%. That's his highest percentage he's polled at as an incumbent president the entire cycle. He's actually polling right below what Trump got in the national popular vote. And so that is not really a good look for him. However, Trump has fallen significantly in the polling average as of right now. And so we're going to be going over every single state in alphabetical order. The first state we're going to look at is the state of Alabama, which did actually have new polls come out. They did in fact have, a new poll, from FAU. They did conduct a post here, and it shows that Trump is winning in the state by about 20 points. And so as of right now in Alabama, Trump has a solid 20-point lead in the state as of right now. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Alaska, where Trump is leading the polls by about 12 points as of right now. However, if you actually look at the House race, you can see that Data for Progress released a poll recently that has Patola tied when you basically force people to decide. And then when you have a third party candidate, or in this case, the extra Republican, Patola is actually leading by quite a bit in the state. However, the Republican has improved since the last poll, which is pretty good as well. So that's not a bad look either. But Trump is currently ahead in the state of Alaska by 12 points, which puts the state in the likely category for Trump. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Arizona, which has a variety of polls. It has Trump up by 3, he's up by 5, 6 points, 5 points, 3 points, 4 points, 4 points. So I'd say roughly he's probably sitting in the lean column in Arizona. The average probably comes out to like a 3 or 4 point win for Donald Trump. The next state is the state of Arkansas, where Trump actually had a recent poll in the end of 2023, and that has Trump winning there by about 32 percentage points. So he's got a pretty comfortable victory in the state of Arkansas. California is the next state, which funny enough actually only has Biden ahead by 23. These polls have Biden ahead by 19 and 18 respectively. Another plus 19 poll, another plus 21 poll. So you could say he's probably leading in the state by about 20 or 21 points as of right now, which puts that in the safe category for him. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Colorado, which recently had a poll come out of Colorado Polling Institute and has him up by 10. However, other polls have him up by only 4, sometimes 5 points. Even going back to the beginning of January, there was a poll that had him up by 6 or 8, and then Biden was up by 7 here, 9 here. And Trump also back then in October, he was only leading him by 4, according to Emerson, which is pretty interesting. And so really looking at this, you could say, okay, maybe Biden is leading in the state probably by 6 to 7 points on average as of right now. The next state is the state of Connecticut, which I believe doesn't have any new polling data out of the presidential race, but based out of previous characterizations and results out of the state, we're going to be leaving it in the safe Democratic column. The next state is Delaware, which I also don't believe has any new polling data out of there for it has it for 2020, but again, safe state out of there as well. Based out of previous characterizations, DC, it's going to be the same thing. The polls in 2020 had him destroying Trump, there, and he's defeated Trump massively last time, so I'd expect that to be a pretty decent margin for him in the next cycle. The state of Florida actually just released a poll from Emerson, which has Trump winning Florida by 15 points when you include third-party candidates. He's winning Florida by 15 points. And so these have him up by 7. He's up by 6 here. And so you could say that possibly Trump is leading in the higher, double digit range, possibly like 10, 11 points. That's probably where he's sitting at right now in the polling data. The next state is Georgia, which when you look at Fabrizio, Trump is only up in the state by one without third party candidates. But if you factor in all these other third party candidates, they even include Mapstead in here. Trump is actually ahead by 3 and 4 points, ahead by three, ahead by five, ahead by four. And this is with third party candidates. His lead doesn't really change with the third party candidates here. But he's probably leading the state right now, I'd say by 4 or 5 points on average, but I'm going to put it in the lean category as of right now. Hawaii, there is no new polling data out of there for this cycle, maybe because a lot of people, they don't want Trump to see improving, because I feel like if they did a poll there, it'd be a lot closer than people are thinking. If you were to go to Idaho, which is the next state, Trump has one poll that has him up by 29 points. So he's got that in the safe column. Illinois, Trump is actually, if we can go and find a poll, because the last poll was a while back, Biden's only up by 10 points in the state, and that puts him in the likely category in the state as well. August 27th is way far back. Trump was down by 20 in the state. And so we're going to be using this plus 10 poll out of the more recent ones to kind of show that average on the trend. The next thing we're going to be looking at, the next state, is the state of Indiana, which I don't think, well, yeah, look, here's one. He's up by 21 points in Indiana, so that is a, lock for him on the presidential level. The state of Iowa, Trump had a new poll that had him up by 15. There's a poll that has him up by 9. There's a poll that has him up by 12. There's a poll that has him up by 9. So he's leading in the higher range. He's leading in the higher, double digit range in the state as of right now. Kind of similar to how Florida is. Kansas, as of right now, has Trump up by 16, 14 points. So roughly he's probably up in the state by 15 points on average as of right now. Kentucky, no new polling data out of the state for the presidential race. So if we keep going, oh, look, there's one poll from October that has Trump up by 28 points. So that's going to put that in the safe category for President Trump. If we go to Louisiana, I don't think there's going to be a new poll out of here, actually, unless there is. But I don't think there is going to be one unless it's a while back. Yeah, I believe there is not going to be a poll out of here. So I'd say that the polls probably have Trump up by a couple of points in the state of Louisiana. In Maine, Trump had this new poll that actually has him up by 6 points in the state at large, then has Biden up by 8 in the first and up by 20 in the second district. This other poll only had Biden up by 1, and if you were to do the average, Trump would actually be leading there by 3 points or 4 points or so, and then Maine's first would be likely, and this would be safe. So he's actually leading in Maine according to the polls as of right now. In Maryland, Hogan's actually leading in some of these polling data, which is pretty interesting, and even here he's leading by 14 and 12 points, so that's a pretty big difference, as of right now. And here, if you could see, February 13th, when you include the third-party candidates, Biden's only ahead in the state by 15 points. And that is a pretty minimized margin of victory for Biden. It's almost in the likely category, which is interesting. And if we go to the next state here, Massachusetts, Biden actually has only a plus 18 lead in the state compared to the beginning of March. But it is still going to be in that safe Democratic category as of right now. The next state is Michigan, which has Trump winning by a considerable amount, but I'd say based out of all of the averages and all of the margins from all of the polls, plus 3, plus 4, plus 3, plus 5, plus 2, plus 3, plus 1, plus 6, plus 8 even in the state, I'd say he's probably up on average by a couple of points, probably up by 3 or 4 points when you calculate the average. The next state is Minnesota, which actually had a new poll with Biden only up by 2 points. FAU released a poll in the beginning of March that had him up by 8 points for some reason, but the sample size was a lot lower on this poll. Meanwhile, this poll had a really high sample size, and Biden was only up by 2. If you notice, the higher the sample size is, generally his lead is a lot smaller on average. And so I'd say he's probably only leading in the state by like probably a couple of points. He probably only leads by, 1 or 2 points. Well, not 1 or 2, but probably like 3 or 4 points on average. Mississippi, Trump is ahead by, let's see if there's any polling data out of here actually. Let's see, Trump's up by 18 in Mississippi as of right now, so we could put that in the safe category for him as well. If we go to the state of Missouri, if we look, Trump should be up by a considerable amount in the state, up by 18 points, so that puts the state in the safe column for Donald Trump. Montana should definitely be a safe state, plus 20, plus 21, so that should be a lock for Donald Trump as well. If you go to Nebraska, same exact thing. Trump's ahead by 18 points here. So he should be doing absolutely no problem there. And that is sort of in line with what he wanted by in 2016. So based out of that, I'd say probably Nebraska second does go lean Democrat. Since there is no new polling data. It is interesting if you look at the Senate race, the independents actually leading the Republican there in the polling, which is pretty interesting. And you can see here Vargas versus Bacon. He's leading the average by 3 points, which is roughly where I have Nebraska second right now. If you look at Nevada, +4 poll for Trump, +4, +4, +5, +3, +2, +6. He's leading pretty consistently by really big margins in these polls. Even Newsom, he beats him by 18 in Nevada, which is like kind of crazy. But he's had so many likely polls in the state that I'd actually say on average he's probably leading by 5 or 6 points based out of the past 2 or 3 months of polling, which is a very big lead in the state of Nevada. But that would make sense because there's a lot of Hispanic voters moving to Trump. If you look at New Hampshire, Biden's actually polling pretty good in the state, believe it or not. He's actually polling really well here. The last poll has him up by 7 points. Now, there was one that had him up by 3. So roughly you could say it probably falls under the likely margin in the average as of right now. New Jersey has a poll that only had Biden up by 6 and 5 points respectively when you just did the head-to-head and then third-party candidates. Trump is only down by 5 points in New Jersey, so that actually puts New Jersey in the likely category as of right now. New Mexico, Biden's polling lead is actually pretty strong here, 8 points, 10 points. However, polls tend to overestimate Democrats in New Mexico, whereas they tend to underestimate them in Colorado. But they're both likely states in the polling data as of right now. New York, Trump had his last poll in February and was only down by 10 points when you factor in third-party candidates, only 12 here. If you keep going, a +9 poll for Biden from Siena College. So these are not looking good. That actually puts Biden only at a likely average in the state of New York, which is pretty surprising to say. North Carolina, Trump is up here pretty considerably, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points. For example, 3 points, 5 points, 6, 7, 8, 4, 3, 3, 6, 6, 5, 5, for some reason, these FAU polls have him up by 14 and 12 points here, which is a very big lead for him. But I'd say roughly he's probably leading the average by a likely margin as of right now. If we were to go to the next state in North Dakota, he should be up by 37 points in the state as of right now. The next state we're going to be looking at is Ohio, which has Trump up 11 points. 11, let's see, 12, very big leads, 11. So roughly he's leading in the top, double digits as of right now in those states. And if we go to the next state, Oklahoma, Trump should be up, 28 points there. He's already at 209 electoral college votes. Oregon is the next state on here, which actually only has Biden up by 15 points. So that puts the state in the safe Democratic column as of right now. Pennsylvania is Biden's best state polling-wise. A +2 Biden poll, +3. Then there's a +3, +4 for Trump, +3, +2, then a tie, then 3. But basically, out of the month of March, there has been more, plus Trump polls than plus Biden polls. And so pretty much based out of that, I'll probably put Pennsylvania in the lean category in terms of its polling data right now. I don't know why they have Puerto Rico on here. This is kind of interesting. I didn't know they had this. This is kind of cool, actually. What the hell? This is actually kind of sick. Wow, that's nice. Rhode Island, if you look at this, I don't think there's any new poll. Oh, look, there is actually a plus 17 poll out of Rhode Island for Biden. So he's winning that by a safe margin. If you look at South Carolina, Trump is up in the state by 14 points in this poll. If we were to keep going back, there is a plus 17 poll, plus 19 poll, plus 15. So he's basically leading it by a safe margin as of right now. If we were to keep going, South Dakota, he's leading by 29 points. If we were to go to Tennessee, he's up by a considerable amount in Tennessee, putting the state in the safe column as of right now. And then we have Texas, which has Trump up basically by double digits. You have a plus 12, plus 11, plus 9, plus 8, plus 4 for some reason. There was a plus 4 poll here, which is kind of interesting. But the rest of the average is so, skewed to the right that he's leading by a likely margin in the polling average, which does put Trump above the 270 threshold in this video. And if you go to Utah, Trump's actually only up in the state by a likely margin based out of all the polls, plus 8, plus 9, plus 10, which I find pretty interesting. He's only up by a likely margin there. I've been talking about that being a potential sleeper flip in the 2030s for Democrats, but that's just my opinion. Now, the next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Vermont, which has Biden up 31, 30. Then I believe there should be, oh, well, that's about it. But, 30, 31. So that puts the state in the safe Democratic column for Joe Biden. Virginia has a plus 6, plus 5 poll. However, then there's a plus 4 poll for Biden in the state. There's a plus 3 poll for Biden, plus 6. So it's kind of all over the place, but I'd say the average probably has them right above 5 points as of right now. Washington should have Biden up. Actually, Biden's only leading there, 11, 16, 14, 12, 10. So the state on average is actually is likely Democrat, even before Oregon, which is interesting. I find that pretty surprising. Then West Virginia should be an easy victory for Trump. See, he's leading here by 37 points in the aggregate, and so that puts him above 300 in the last 2 states. Wisconsin is the next swing state. Biden's up by 1 here, even here, plus 3 here. Trump plus 4, plus 4. Biden plus 1, plus 2. Then there was a plus 3 poll for Trump against Biden, plus 2, plus 4, plus 8, 6. So I'd say that Trump is probably up in the state's average, probably by a lean margin. It's definitely closer than Michigan and Pennsylvania's polling lead. He's probably only up by 1.5 if you were to do the average. But nonetheless, he is still up. And then Wyoming is the last state, which should have Trump resounding victory in the latest poll from October 2023. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. Trump ends up winning 314 electoral college votes to Biden's 224 electoral college votes. This is a video basically updating you guys what all the pollsters are basically saying as of right now. My real result has Trump winning 312 because he doesn't win Maine, but according to the polls, Trump's ahead in Maine in the average. Now, if we get more polling, we'll be able to deduce if that's actually legitimate because that may be an outlier, but we'll see as time goes on. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, make sure to hit the post notification bell, make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And I hope to see you guys very, very soon.